The clinking of silverware fell silent. My mother's words sliced through the air sharper than any knife on the table. "You're the most worthless child we have." The Christmas lights twinkled mockingly behind her, reflecting in the shocked faces of my siblings. I could feel their eyes burning into me, half pity, half satisfaction. My chest tightened, but instead of tears, a strange calm washed over me. I pushed back my chair slowly, the wood scraping against the floor. "Then stop calling me when you need money," I said, my voice steady but loud enough for every smug relative to hear. Her fork slipped from her hand. My father's jaw clenched. My siblings shifted uncomfortably. For the first time in my life, the room froze because of me. If you're watching this, drop a comment below, hit like and subscribe, because what I'm about to tell you is one of the most explosive family betrayals you'll ever hear. My name is Jessica Monroe. I am 32 years old, and last Christmas, my own mother humiliated me in front of the entire family. She thought I'd stay quiet just like always. She thought I'd keep being their silent aim. But that night, everything changed. Let me rewind. I grew up the middle child of 5. My older brother, Daniel, was the golden boy, lawyer, married 2 perfect kids. My younger sister, Emily, was the angel. Always praised, never wrong. Even my youngest twin brothers, Josh and Ryan, were adored for their sports trophies. Me, I was the one who paid. The one who covered Dad's gambling debts when he got caught. The one who loaned Emily thousands when her startup failed. The one who bailed Ryan out of a DUI mess so it wouldn't ruin his future. Every time the phone rang, it wasn't, "Hi Jess, how are you?" It was, "Jess, can you send $500? Jess, we'll pay you back next month. Jess, don't you love your family?" And like a fool I gave. Because deep down I thought maybe buying their comfort would finally earn me their love. But at that Christmas table, when my mother called me useless, me the one funding half their problems, something inside me snapped. They thought I was weak. They forgot I kept receipts. And that night I decided I was going to show them exactly how useless I could be when I finally walked away. The silence after my outburst hung heavy, like smoke after a fire. My mom's lips parted, but no words came out. She just stared, stunned that I had finally bitten back. My father cleared his throat, muttering, "Jessica, don't disrespect your mother at the table." Disrespect? I wanted to laugh. Disrespect was being called worthless after years of bailing them out. Disrespect was empty promises of repayment, followed by whispers behind my back about how I was single and aimless. I sat down again, but not because I felt small. No, I sat like a queen reclaiming her throne. "You want to talk about useless?" I said, my voice steady. "Then let's talk about who's been paying your bills." Gasps circled the table. Emily's fork hovered midair, Daniel avoided my eyes, and the twins suddenly found their wine glasses very interesting. 4 years I kept spreadsheets, proof of every wire transfer, every check, every emergency loan that never came back. In that moment I decided I wasn't just defending myself. I was exposing them. I pulled out my phone, scrolled, and laid it flat on the table for everyone to see. December 12th, $1 $200 to Emily's failed boutique. March 8th, $2 $400 for Dad's car repairs, which we all know was poker night. April 22nd, $800 to cover Ryan's DUI lawyer. Should I keep going? The room went dead silent. My mother's face tightened. "Jessica, this isn't appropriate." I cut her off. "No, what's inappropriate is leeching off the child you call useless while pretending the others are saints." Daniel shifted uncomfortably, finally speaking. "Just come on, we're family. You can't just air everything like this." I snapped my gaze to him. "Funny, Dan. You didn't think of family when you borrowed $5,000 for that condo down payment and never paid it back." He froze. Emily's cheeks flamed red. Even the twins, who usually hid behind jokes, looked guilty. And for the first time I saw it, the crack in their armor. They weren't shocked at my words. They were terrified of the truth. "Don't worry," I said, leaning back. "This is the last Christmas you'll ever get money from me." I stood again, gathering my coat. My heart was racing, but my hands didn't shake. For once I was in control. "Just wait," Emily whispered, her voice trembling. But I didn't stop. Because leaving that table was the first step in teaching them what life looked like without their useless ATM. And the consequences hit faster than they expected. The very next week the phone calls started. First it was Ryan. His voice, usually cocky, was small. "Jess, my car got repossessed. Can you just cover me this month? I swear I'll pay you back." I almost laughed. "Ryan, I'm useless, remember? Try asking Dad." He hung up. 2 days later Emily texted, "Jess, I know things were heated, but the boutique is about to be evicted. If you could just help with rent one last time." I stared at her message, remembering Mom's smug face at Christmas. Most useless child. The words fueled me. I didn't reply. That same night Dad called. His voice was gruff, defensive. "Jessica, don't punish your family because your feelings got hurt. You know I've got important friends, and if they find out I'm struggling..." I cut him off. "Dad, your friends don't pay your gambling debts." I did. "Not anymore." The silence that followed was thick, then, click. Within 2 weeks, the family group chat turned into a battlefield. Daniel, the so-called golden boy, begged me to reconsider. "Jessica, I've got payments due, and if I default, my job is at risk. You can't just cut us all off." "Oh, but I can," I typed back. The read receipts popped up, but no one answered. By February the cracks showed. Emily moved back in with my parents because she couldn't afford her apartment. Ryan picked up a night shift job he used to mock other people for. Dad sold his prized golf clubs to cover a debt. And Daniel? Word slipped that his mortgage company had started foreclosure proceedings. I didn't gloat, at least not out loud. But deep down a part of me relished every stumble. For years they feasted while I starved for validation. Now they had to taste the hunger of reality. Mom didn't call me until March. When her name flashed on my phone, my stomach flipped. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity won. Her voice was brittle. "Jessica, we need to talk." I leaned back in my chair. "About what? Am I suddenly useful again?" Her sigh crackled through the line. "I shouldn't have said those words. But you can't just abandon your family. Blood is blood." My chest tightened. Once that line would have hooked me. Not anymore. "Blood is blood," I said coldly, "until you spill it with betrayal." I hung up before she could answer. And that was the moment I knew. This war wasn't just about money anymore. It was about respect. Spring came, but the chill between me and my family only deepened. For the first time in years, my phone wasn't buzzing with constant requests. Instead, it was silent, eerily peaceful. I poured my energy into myself. I took trips I'd put off, started painting again, even joined a gym. Without their endless demands draining me, I felt alive. But part of me knew it wouldn't last. My family didn't know how to function without leaning on me. And I was right. One Sunday afternoon, Daniel showed up at my apartment unannounced. He looked disheveled, tie loosened, eyes bloodshot. "Jess, please," he said the moment I opened the door. "The bank is about to take the house. I'll lose everything. Can you just cover the back payments?" I crossed my arms. "You make 6 figures, Daniel. Where's your money?" He flinched. "Gone. Kids' tuition. The credit cards." "Jess, you don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly," I cut in. "You lived above your means, counting on me as your parachute. Well, guess what? That parachute is gone." His lips pressed into a thin line. For once, the golden boy had no comeback. He left without another word. Not long after, Emily cornered me outside the grocery store. She had bags under her eyes, hair unwashed. "Jess," she whispered, "Mom says you're punishing us. That you don't care about family anymore." I clenched my jaw. "I care, Emily. I cared so much that I gave until I had nothing left for myself. And all I got in return was being called useless." Her eyes filled with tears. "She didn't mean it." "Yes, she did," I snapped. "And so did all of you, every time you treated me like a wallet instead of a sister." Emily backed away, guilt written all over her face. We didn't think you'd ever say no. That was the problem. They never thought I would." By May, word spread through extended relatives that I had abandoned the family. Mom played the victim, spinning her humiliation at Christmas into a sob story. But I didn't defend myself. I didn't need to. Because while they were unraveling, I was thriving. I had finally learned the truth. Their survival was never my responsibility. But I had no idea that the real breaking point was still to come. A breaking point that would force my mother to face everything she'd denied for years. It was June when the call came. I almost didn't answer. Mom's number flashing across my screen usually meant drama. But something in my gut told me this time was different. Her voice was shaky, thinner than I'd ever heard. "Jessica, your father collapsed. He's in the hospital." For a moment the world tilted. Despite all the anger, he was still my dad. I rushed to the ear, heart pounding, memories flooding. Christmas mornings, his laugh before the gambling took over, the man he used to be. When I arrived, the whole family was already there. Daniel pacing, Emily crying into a tissue, the twins slumped in chairs. And Mom, she looked older, smaller, like the venom that once fueled her had drained out. She looked up at me. Our eyes locked. For once she didn't glare. She just whispered, "He asked for you." I stepped into the hospital room. Dad was pale, tubes everywhere, but his eyes lit up when he saw me. "Jess," he rasped. "Hey Dad. I'm here." His hand trembled as he reached for mine. "You were always the strong one." Sorry." Tears burned my eyes. He'd never said those words before. And though I'd been hardened by betrayal, something in me softened. I squeezed his hand. "Rest, Dad. That's all you need to do now." Hours later, as he slept, I stepped back into the hallway. My siblings were waiting, their faces expectant. Daniel spoke first. "So, what did he say?" I looked at each of them, my voice steady. "He said I was the strong one." The silence was deafening. Mom's lips pressed together. For years she had championed Daniel, babied Emily, excused the twins. But in that sterile hallway, even she couldn't deny the truth. That night, while Dad remained under observation, the family gathered in the hospital cafeteria. It was tense, no one eating. Finally, Emily whispered, "Jess, we need you. We can't keep doing this without you." My chest tightened. Old habits itched, the part of me that always swooped in to save them. But I remembered the Christmas table. The word useless. I stood, my chair scraping against the tile. "No, you don't need me. You need to learn to stand on your own. I won't be your crutch anymore." Their faces fell, but I didn't waver. Because for once they were the ones powerless, and I was the one walking away. But my mother wasn't done. She had one last card to play, and it would push our fractured family to the edge. 2 weeks later, I received an invitation I never expected. A handwritten card, shaky cursive across the envelope. "Family meeting. Sunday. Please come." Mom. I almost tore it up. But curiosity, and a lingering sense of unfinished business, pulled me there. When I walked into my parents' house, the atmosphere was thick with unease. The dining table, the same one where my humiliation had unfolded at Christmas, was set again. Everyone was there. Daniel with his hollow eyes, Emily wringing her hands, the twins whispering nervously. Mom sat at the head of the table, her posture stiff, but her eyes different. She cleared her throat. "I called this meeting because things have gone too far." I crossed my arms. Too far was calling me worthless in front of everyone. Her face flinched. For once she didn't bark back. Instead she folded her hands. "You're right. I was cruel. And I can't take it back. But this family is falling apart. Your father's health is failing, your siblings are drowning, and I don't know how to fix it." Silence. Everyone stared at me, waiting like I held the missing piece. I let the weight of her words settle. This was the same woman who once dismissed my achievements, who belittled me while praising the others. Now she was admitting defeat. Finally I spoke. "You don't need me to fix it. You need to fix yourselves. Stop spending money you don't have. Stop leaning on me because it's easier than facing reality." Daniel muttered, "We can't just change overnight." I snapped my gaze to him. "Then maybe you'll finally understand what it felt like for me, years of drowning while all of you piled more weight on my back." Emily's eyes brimmed. "Jess, I'm sorry. We all are." Mom's voice cracked. "Jessica, I called you useless because I thought you didn't measure up to them. But now I see they were leaning on you this whole time. You were the backbone." Her words hit like a punch. After decades of silence, she finally admitted the truth. For a moment, I didn't know whether to scream or cry. Instead, I straightened. "I'm not here to save you. But if you want me in this family, it's on my terms. Respect, boundaries, and no more handouts." They all nodded, some reluctantly, some with relief. Mom's eyes glistened. "Then maybe we can start over." But starting over wasn't simple. Because once the truth is spoken aloud, it changes everything. And our Christmas table would never be the same again. The weeks that followed were strange, like walking through the ruins of an old house, trying to decide which walls to rebuild and which to leave in ashes. For the first time in years, my family stopped asking me for money. Instead, they stumbled through their own struggles. Daniel sold his second car. Emily picked up shifts at a cafe. Even the twins, who once laughed at the idea of hard work, started driving delivery routes. And Mom? She called me once a week, not to demand, not to criticize, but to ask how I was. At first, I waited for the catch, the hidden angle. But sometimes her voice just trembled with genuine effort, like she was learning how to be a mother again at 60. Still, the wound ran deep. Every time I looked at her, I remembered that Christmas table. The words "most useless child" echoed like a curse. Forgiveness doesn't erase memory, it just teaches you how to live with it. One evening, she invited me to dinner again. My gut twisted, but I went. The table looked the same, the lights twinkled the same. But this time the atmosphere was different. Mom raised her glass. "To Jessica," she said softly, "for holding this family together longer than any of us realized." The others echoed, some with shame in their eyes, some with genuine respect. My throat tightened, but I nodded. It wasn't an apology wrapped in perfection. It was messy, awkward, but real. Later, as I helped her clear the dishes, she touched my hand. "Jess, I don't expect you to forgive me overnight. But I want to try. I want to earn my place back in your heart." For a moment, I just stared at her. The woman who once humiliated me was now standing small, uncertain, almost childlike. I whispered, "It's going to take time." She nodded. "I know." That night, lying in bed, I realized something. Revenge had given me strength, but reconciliation was giving me freedom. No longer chained to their debts, no longer begging for their love, I finally stood equal. The Christmas table had been a battlefield, but it had also been the fire that burned away all illusions. Now they saw me, and for once I saw myself too. But the final chapter wasn't about them. It was about me, choosing how this story would end. Christmas came around again 1 year after the night that changed everything. The house looked familiar. The same garlands, the same twinkling tree, but the energy at the table was different. For the first time, I didn't sit in silence, waiting for their approval. I sat tall, knowing I no longer needed it. Mom glanced at me across the table. Her voice shook, but she said it anyway. "Jessica, I'm grateful you're here. I was wrong last year. You're not useless. You never were." The room held its breath. For decades, she had compared me to my siblings, chipped away at my worth. Now, in front of everyone, she finally admitted the truth. I looked around. Daniel wasn't in a suit this year. He was wearing an apron, having picked up a side hustle to save his house. Emily had stopped pretending to be perfect and was talking honestly about her struggles. Even the twins were quieter, humbled by months of working real jobs. They were finally learning the lessons I'd carried alone for years. I raised my glass. "I'm not here because you need me. I'm here because I choose to be. And if this family wants to stay in my life, it has to be built on respect. Not guilt, not money." For once, no one argued. No one rolled their eyes. They nodded, each in their own quiet way. Mom dabbed her eyes with a napkin. "You're right. We leaned on you until you broke. And you were strong enough to walk away. I see that now." Her words didn't erase the pain, but they healed a piece of it. Because acknowledgement is sometimes more powerful than apology. As the night went on, laughter slowly replaced tension. The kids played under the tree. The adults shared stories that weren't laced with manipulation. And I realized, maybe this was the family I'd been waiting for all along. Not perfect, not fixed overnight, but real. When I left that night, the cold December air stung my cheeks, but my heart felt lighter than it had in years. For once, I wasn't the ATM child, or the scapegoat, or the one desperate for their love. I was Jessica, strong, independent, finally seen. To those of you watching this, have you ever faced betrayal from the very people who were supposed to love you? Share your story in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like mine. Because here's what I've learned. Sometimes revenge sets you free, but sometimes healing does too. Never let anyone decide your worth.